Hey guys, welcome to Way of Life. Today we're going to go over the 5 principles of effective stockmanship. The first principle is the animal wants to see you. As I was walking across this pasture to the gate, I noticed all these cows looking up at me. So I wanted to take a video and show you that cattle are prey animals. So anytime there's anything that moves across their pasture, their pen, or whatever, they want to take a real close look at it to make sure it's not a predator. You can use this to help move cattle, to sort cattle, and really get around cattle effectively. If you'll look, even those cows in the back there will pick up their heads from time to time from grazing to look at me. The second principle in effective stockmanship is the animal wants to go around you. Notice as I walk into this herd of cattle here, how they will move around. They go to my left and they will move in a semicircle around and past me. Cattle tend to move in circles. So when we walk into them, they don't just all take off running to the other side of the pen. They actually move around in a semicircular fashion and past me. And if you'll notice, as we go into another little segment of video here, as I ride into these cattle on horseback, they'll actually split and go to the right and to the left in an actual circle around me. They go around and past me. The third principle is the animal wants to be with others. I walked into this pen of calves and I started walking towards them and got a couple of them moving towards the gate. As soon as they did that, if you'll notice, all the other calves that are standing still start following those other calves. Right there, I backed off just to see how their herding instinct takes over and those other calves draw them because they want to be with other cattle. And I'll show you right here, there was about 5 or 6 calves in the very back of this pen. I walked over to the gate and just stood here by the gate that those cattle had walked through, and I turned and looked behind me, and look here. Those 5 or 6 that were in the complete opposite side of the pen were drawn all the way across the pen because they want to be with other cattle. The fourth principle is the animal wants to take pressure off. As I walk up to this cow, and she's a pretty gentle old cow, so I have to get pretty close to her to get some pressure on her, she starts moving. And the closer I get, the more she moves. And then when I back off, if you'll notice, she stopped. She wants the pressure relieved by moving far enough away from me or by me moving back away from her. Once you do that, most of the time they'll stop. Now these calves in the next part of this video, I put pressure on them with my horse, and they actually take off trotting. And then I'll move back over to my left and put some pressure on these calves that are all still outside the pen, and they start moving inside the pen. But once they get in that pen far enough away from me, the pressure is released and they stop. Principle number 5, the animal can only think of one thing at a time. I got a group of calves moving here. The only thing I want them thinking is move with the herd forward. They're doing a really good job at it. But if you'll notice, I got a few that are trying to veer off a little to the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trot over here to the left and catch their eye. And when I do, they're probably going to stop and look at me. Then I can push them back to their right, back in with the herd, which it doesn't take much pressure. They go right back into the herd. Then, once they get back in the herd, they're thinking about what we were doing to begin with, moving in one direction with the herd. We had to stop them and get them to think about stopping and looking at me, then get them to think about moving back to the right into the herd, then thinking about moving with the herd. Because cattle can only think of one thing at a time. Well folks, that's going to do it for the video today. kind of introducing you to the 5 principles of effective stockmanship. I'm going to do a few videos here over the next few weeks that have us moving some cattle and sorting some cattle and things that may use one of those principles, 2, 3 of those, 4 of those principles at the same time. And it'll really help you with your stockmanship. Got a few more tips and things coming up. Hey, and kind of a disclaimer, everything I do is not perfect and everything I do is not what I would call right. But I will tell you, it sure helped me out, and I'm wanting to help people who are very interested in increasing their knowledge. Knowledge is power, and I want all you novice folks out there and folks who just want to absorb more knowledge. You could have been a cowboy for 50 years and just want to learn more. Learn everything that you can to become a better stockman. I want you to know, if you treat your animals with dignity and respect, they'll return that. Your horses will be more broke and more gentle. Your cattle will be more broke and easier to move around, easier to handle. They'll also be more efficient. They'll gain more weight faster. And they'll have less stress-related illnesses. It's just a good deal. And we were put here by the Lord to take care of our animals. And if we do it with dignity and respect, that's even serving Him better. Hey, and remember, when you're out there in the world, treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and it'll always be returned to you. Thanks for joining Way of Life again, and we'll see you soon. Adios.